Welcome to On the Bench Extra on S3 TV. We're talking football, not just national and international, but local, just what we like. Studio guests this week are from Cleethorpes ladies football team, KYLIE FARBRACE and GEMMA HOPKIN. Also on the show, the challenges continue with myself and Mr. Reed, going head to head against each other for your entertainment, of course. And you can also have a guess at the outcome. But before all of that, let's get into the show. Welcome KYLIE and GEMMA. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Could we just have a basic overview of what it is that you do? Obviously, you're involved with Cleethorpes Town.
Sure, it's our first season with Cleethorpes Town, so we've just started pre-season, so training's going well, and we're looking forward to the season in the East Midlands Women's Football League. Fantastic.
So it's a first season, a new team, so what are the sort of expectations?
To win the league.
To win the league?
It's been our expectation every season. We've just come short of it every year, but that's our aim this year, to win the league.
Do you think that's a realistic target then, for a new team?
Yes.
You do? Yeah,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Most of the squad have been together for quite a while,
yeah.
So we've just got to fine-tune a few bits.
Just got to be continuous in our play.
So it's consistency across the season. What sort of teams like the standard that you play across this season?
Well, obviously it's a level above sort of county, so the standard's fairly, there's no sort of top and bottom, it's fairly even across the league, so every game's a challenge.
We're confident about the season coming up ahead.
Yep.
You feel that you've got a good setup going into the season, and pre-season's been going well as well?
Yeah, absolutely, and the good thing about Cleethorpes Town is they've got the younger squad set up, so there's a conveyor belt of players hopefully for the senior ladies team moving forward.
Fantastic, well, we wish you best for the season coming up. Last week, Ashley Cole left Chelsea and signed for new club AS Roma. During his unveiling, Ashley said he felt English players are probably too afraid to travel abroad as they feel too much in their comfort zone in the UK. Is Ashley Cole right with his comments and what he said? Reedy, what do we think?
I wouldn't say they're out of their comfort zone, but obviously the Premier League's the best league in the world, so why would you leave that if it's on your doorstep? Unless it's for obviously an amazing opportunity like Gareth Bale's had at Real Madrid. Not every player's going to get that. So I think for a lot of English lads, they just think, it's on my doorstep. I've been watching this league as a kid, I want to play in it, I'm going to stay in it.
KYLIE, what do we think?
I don't know, it's a bit different in women's football. So historically all the England senior international wanted to play in America because that's where the money was and the conditions and the standard was better. Now with the Women's Super League, they're all coming home because, we run the best league. So I'd agree in women's football, the same's happening.
Yeah. And KYLIE, you're also involved with the England under-17 women. What sort of things do you see at that age with the girls that are playing?
Obviously it's a development squad, so we have Euros every year and World Cup every 2 years, so they get a lot of tournament experience. Just come back from the Nordic Cup in Sweden that we came third in, so they're developing well.
Fantastic, very good. GEMMA, what do we think to Ashley Cole's comments?
Well, you could say that maybe that's where we're falling when we go to tournaments ourselves, so we've never really got that mix of other countries that we play, so maybe if we could have other players playing in different countries, they could bring a different point of view to our team, maybe.
So you think
different
it'd be good?
Creative play.
It'd be good to get the players out there and into different leagues. Do you think that's where we're falling behind?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, don't forget as well, sometimes when you read reports of players who have come to England, it's the families don't want to come to England. I think Carlos Tevez, his family was back in Argentina, I think, or Italy, or wherever he was before it, and obviously he missed his family. They wouldn't move out here, so he went back eventually. Maybe that's what the English sort of girlfriends and wags, they don't want to go to Italy or something. They're quite happy being in England around their family.
Yeah.
I think the shopping's better out there.
Yeah, possibly is. But
Did they ever not heard of Fresh New Place?
Well,
obviously not. So Ashley Cole obviously gone to Italy. I think he's only the 9th player to have played in Serie A since Italia '90, which speaks volumes. I know we don't get a lot of Italians coming to England, but do you think there should be more that are going to Serie A?
Well, personally, I think they should go to all different leagues for that variation of play. I
I
think we're just stuck in our very English way of playing, and I think that we need to maybe try something new.
Depend on opportunity as well. Obviously, Ashley Cole's been a quality left back for years now, probably a decade. Obviously playing at Chelsea, one of the top clubs, so he's going to get the opportunity. Whereas, for example, Luke Shaw just signed for Manchester United. He's not going to get the opportunity at the age he's at, so he might have to wait 7 years to even get that opportunity. And then will he take it? You don't know. It's all about obviously just being a good enough player as well for the clubs to want them over there.
Yeah.
Perhaps the Italian league will teach us how to defend.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Thank you very much, guys. Transfer gossip now. So what do we think of Didier Drogba's imminent return to Chelsea or possibly Manchester City?
Well, it's not going to be Manchester City because I think he's Chelsea sort of through and through when it comes to English clubs. I think he was there for the best part of 6-7 years, wasn't he? And he obviously won the Champions League. So you can forget City. He's not going to go there, I don't think, because his name will be tarnished.
What about the money? If the money's right, will he go there? He went to Galatasaray for what reason?
Fabregas said the same.
Well, yeah, money speaks volumes, but look, it's Mourinho there at the end of the day now, isn't it? And he's probably said, is he a player coach?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thinking, isn't it?
That's the offer,
I think
role.
Lukaku's obviously he's staying at Chelsea for another year, I think. And is that because Drogba's now going to coach Lukaku? Has he been given more of a coaching role at the club rather than just a player? That might have what's enticed him to go there.
This week, myself and Reedy had a go at penalties, blindfolded. And as any England fan will tell you, we aren't the best from 12 yards. So the question is, who wins? Let's take a look at the first instalment. Stick around for part 2 and find out who takes the title. First, managers are always under pressure from the board and supporters, so who do we think should be sticking or sacking with the manager this week? Louis van Gaal we'll talk about, obviously the new Manchester United boss. Gemma, what do we think to his chances this season?
I think he's a great manager, and I think he's shown already how good he has been at the clubs that he's been at previously, and recently in the World Cup. I think he's done really well with the Holland team, so I think that they're in safe hands.
KYLIE?
I don't think he can do any worse than Moisey, so I think he'll be all right this season.
Do you think the players that he's got in so far have been going to add to United's chances of being back up there?
Absolutely. I thought Luke Shaw was a really good player at the World Cup for us, and I think he'll be a great addition to the squad.
And Herrera as well, Reedy?
Yeah,
Herrera in.
He run rings around Man United in the Champions League when they played them, and obviously that says a lot about the lad. So yeah, you can't argue with that signing really. He's like a creative midfielder. It's what United needs. He's going to work well with Mata, I hope. So I think it's a good signing, yeah.
Do you think that Van Gaal's arrogance might hold him back a little bit? Because he's obviously very full of himself.
I think it goes along the lines of Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's got that grit about him that maybe scares players, but shows them that they've got a job to do, and that's what they're here to do. So.
And it's Man U, you have to have some arrogance, don't you?
Yeah, and he's a born winner as well.
I think that's where Moyes went wrong. If you listen to him like before matches and press conferences, he's like, oh, we'll try and win. We're going to try and do this. We want to be more like City. And it's not the words that you want to hear really. You want to be better than City. You want to win the game. And I think, yeah, that arrogance, like you say, it's what you need to put into the players, so they believe they're better than the opposition as well.
Well, there was all that came out on social media, wasn't there, about Moisey was worried about meeting Fergie and what he was going to wear.
Yeah.
I think it was out of his depth, I think, to be honest,
yeah.
Moisey.
And, and then it came out that actually the new guy's saying, I'm going to do better than Fergie. And that's the difference.
Yeah, and do you think, obviously, the impact he'll have will be much better than what Moyes had last season? Because he was useless, really, wasn't he?
Well, there's already a motivational about him already, whereas Moyes just came in, lost a few games, and that was it. We went on a downward spiral, whereas I think from pre-season training, we're already on the up already. Do
you think the players will react well to him?
I think they will.
A strict regime.
I mean, in fairness to Moyes, it's the hardest job in the world taking over from Sir Alex. I think Louis van Gaal's got the better end of the stick, taking over from Moyes, but I still think Van Gaal's in a better position to succeed, and I think the players will love him, to be honest.
Brilliant, thank you. What do you at home think? Let us know your thoughts through the usual ways. Details are on the screen now. That's the end of part 1, but before we go, here's a half-time teaser for you. How many goals did Liam Hearn score for Grimsby Town during his 3 years at the club? See you in part 2. Welcome back to Extra. Before the break, I asked you how many goals did Liam Hearn score for Grimsby Town in his 3 years at the club, and the answer was 35 goals. Just continuing on from where we left off before the break, we were talking sack or stick. We'll talk about Alan Pardew at Newcastle first of all. He's always under pressure. What do we think to his chances this season?
No.
No.
I think he'll be gone before the end of the season.
How soon?
Unless their results start picking up and they start off better than last year.
Yeah, what do you think the problem is with Newcastle? What's the
I
problem
think
with
the
his job?
owner as well, Mike Ashley, isn't it? There's never a real consistency of what's going on, who's in control. So I think they don't trust, that there's a lack of trust from the supporters.
Do you not think that Mike Ashley's put the money in to support the club and buy these, all these French players in? And
I think the problem with Newcastle is it's the poison chalice of management, isn't it? Unless your name's Keegan, you're always going to be under pressure in Newcastle. So, it's up to the results and see what happens.
Very strong words there. Do you think that that's really how it is in the North East?
Well, I think the supporters have a really strong voice at Newcastle, and therefore, as with any club, if results aren't going your way, they get on the back of the manager.
Reedy?
I nearly used the poison chalice saying myself, actually. It's just because the supporters are so passionate in Newcastle. It's like, if they don't agree, you've got no chance. And as soon as you make one bad decision or one bad signing, they're on your back. And you've had it, really. And I think, obviously, Mike Ashley has been a problem. But at the same time, Pardew, after Wenger, has been the longest-serving manager at the minute, I think. So, I mean, there is some consistency there. I think Newcastle fans always want more than a mid-table finish, though, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's where the problem comes in. I think you should be happy with 12th, 13th position because you're in the Premier League, aren't you, really?
And what about Cleethorpes Town, sack or stick?
Ladies or men's?
Both.
Couldn't comment on the men's at all.
Couldn't comment.
And my dad's the manager of the ladies, so I think I might get myself in trouble there as well.
So saying stick.
Yeah.
Stick with both.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
First season, we've got to stick.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And what about, going back to the Premier League, Sam Allardyce quickly, under pressure at West Ham all the time?
I mean, again, he didn't do a bad job last season. I think the stats speak for themselves. I think he had a lot of clean sheets. It's just I think they couldn't score goals. They could defend well. If they could score more goals, I think it would have been like 8th or something like that. So I think he's all right. I think he should stay, to be honest, Sam Allardyce.
I'd stick with Sam Allardyce.
Stick with him?
Yeah.
I like West Ham, but I've got a feeling they might not stick with him because he was a bit dangerous towards the end of the season last year. So again, if the results aren't any better than last year, I think they may. It's just the world that we live in at the minute that they're just sacking straight away, so they don't really have a chance.
And he's from up north, managing in London. Doesn't help.
You can speak the lingo.
Brilliant, thank you. So time for the second instalment of the blindfolded penalties challenge. First half saw me score absolutely 0. So let's see if Reedy can fare any better and take the title for this week. So, with no successful spot kicks, it's a draw. Tune in next week where we'll be having a go at KYLIE. Think you can win this one, Reedy?
I reckon I got a good chance.
No chance, no chance. Great stuff. Now to the papers. So first of all, Tuesday's papers, we've got The Sun. At the back, it says about Gerrard quitting. Who do we think is going to be the next captain?
Well, if Gero says it, it's got to be Rue, hasn't it?
Gero.
I think he's
Gero. Is he mates with you, Reedy?
Yeah, he's in my phone as Gero. So.
Gero.
Yeah.
A few texts and that.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, Gero. I think Rue is probably an obvious choice for a lot of fans. He's not just because obviously of his quality and what he can do, but he's like a talisman. He's like experienced and he can maybe get the younger lads going. He might not have the best footballing brain, but who else are you going to give it to?
Is Rue out of Winnie the Pooh?
Well, hopefully they're not going to give the captain to a... Is he a bear?
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Yeah.
What do we think, ladies? Do we think that Rooney? Do we think it should be Hart, Cahill?
You know what? I think it just puts Rooney under more pressure. He's always in the press and being vilified for struggling to play in an England shirt. Given the captain's armband, I don't know. Will it be the making and breaking of him in an England shirt? I don't know. I'd probably go for Joe Hart.
Joe Hart, okay, interesting. He can't handle it really, the pressure, can he? So going on to Grimsby Telegraph, we've got the Paul Hayes talking about using a 4-3-3 formation. What do we think to that?
If it's not broke, don't fix it. The formation last season sort of served us well.
But we didn't go up.
No, we didn't, but it's a lottery, isn't it? Only one team can go up. I think we're just unfortunate. If you obviously watch the games, I think we should stick to what we know best. Keep the old formation. It's not, don't fix it.
Do you think it's the pressure from the media that maybe Paul Hayes thinking about changing the formation?
Not really. I agree with you, Tom, that if it's not broke, don't... Broke? I've messed up there.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And going on to the Hull Daily Mail as well, we've got talking about Steve Bruce. He doesn't want to pay through the nose for players. That's a good one, considering Steve Bruce's nose.
Could pay a lot through that.
What do we think to that comment? Because obviously there's a lot of inflated prices out there. Do you think he's justified in what he's saying?
I think you've always got to be careful when you're, in and around the relegation zone that you're not paying through the nose for big wages. It just puts you under more pressure as a club and as a manager. So I think it's a good way to go. Reedy,
a lot of British players have came in. Do you think that's a good way to go?
I think it's a good move, yeah. Like you say, you don't want to be paying out big wages, and then obviously it puts pressure on the players. And if they don't achieve what they're set out to, then it's it's like, oh, you've done just a wrong move. So you don't need to spend out big money. There is good British players that are coming through that can help the club forward.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. In the closed season, there's always speculation with players being linked with other clubs as managers look to build on a stronger squad. Let's look at the deals made so far. So we had a little talk about overinflated prices. Can we start with Adam Lallana? 25 million, around that sort of point. Do we think that's a justified sort of price for him?
I think it's a World Cup year, so all the prices are always going to be inflated. It's always good to get them before the World Cup, because as soon as they have a good World Cup, they're suddenly 50 million player. I think if they're good enough, then they deserve the price tag. Look at Gareth Bale and what he's achieved over at Real Madrid. Whether every player deserves that price tag, I don't
that's
agree.
The problem. You've got average players being paid for, paid an awful lot of money. So I think maybe the top players, fair enough, but I think there's in my opinion, a fair number of average players in the Premiership that have played an awful lot of money.
That's the thing, it seems to be a lot of British players. You look at Lallana's cost 25, I'm a big fan of Lallana, but you look at Tony Cruz, has gone to Real Madrid for 20 million. Where's the sense in that?
He's a World Cup winner at 24 years old and a Bundesliga winner. And he's, Adam Lallana's cost more, no disrespect to Lallana, but he's not won a World Cup or a league title. I think it's 6 and 2 3s, some players are overpriced, and then you get some good deals where they're underpriced as well. It works in both ways, I think.
What about Luke Shaw, £30 million? Do you think that's the right price to pay for him? He's a young lad, obviously.
Yeah. I think it's quite a high price tag, but if you think about what Man United are going to get out of him, if they're going to see the development through the years, then it is a good price tag. But it's a lot of pressure to put on somebody that young, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It can almost be the decline of him, really.
But I think you saw at the World Cup, he doesn't really respond to pressure, does he? He's a kid, he goes out and enjoys his football, and you can see that.
So you think they've got a bargain?
I think they've got a bargain.
He's probably going to last, 10 years. You look at Rio Ferdinand, cost 30 odd million, and people were doubting that, and they got, however many years out of him.
Well, if he plays till he's 32, 33 years of age, that's 15 years, so that's what? Less than 3 million a year, so it's more than worth it. I think they've paid for his potential rather than what he is now. He's not the finished product now, and obviously he's an English lad as well, so they're paying for that. Yeah, and a lot of pressure on him, obviously, now Ever is gone. So thank you very much, guys. Well, that's a wrap for another week's episode of On The Bench Extra. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, plus email us onthebench@estuary.tv. Thanks to Tom Reed and our guests KYLIE and Gemma. Until next week, goodbye.